Do you honestly know anything about the juvenile justice system and how it works? Have you or anyone you've known ever been in the juvenile justice system before? Well, I believe there are different and alternative ways that the children should be handled. And well, I will inform you a little bit about the history, laws, and various rehabilitation programs. And I'll tell you a little bit about each of these and, well, as how the system was back then compared to now. So, the history of the juvenile justice system: the first juvenile court was created in 1899 in Chicago in Cook County, Illinois. So, the first sort of dated back juvenile situation was in the 19th century when a boy was taken into custody. There was even a painting or a drawing of a police officer pulling the little boy out of the room, and his little sister was in there. There's not a specific name, but around that time, more cases started coming up, and so that kind of started the separate system for juveniles. Because more was starting to happen, they needed to start setting things in motion and start getting things under control. And back then, a lot of the kids were compared or considered the same as adult criminals, which we know now is not fair. They've got a different mental state and mind growth. And Pickett, Mancini, Mears, and Gertz wrote an article saying, or quoting, that scant research exists that evaluates how criminal justice experience affected media consumption and how consumption may influence knowledge about sentencing laws or the extent of imprisonment. So now that we know there are various things, such as technology has improved so much, that there are other things that impact these children and that, sort of change their mind. And so back to the previous part of the 19th century, well, reform movements started then, following the Civil War, creating this separate court system for these juveniles in the 19th century. And all of this kind of ties in with this new documentary on Netflix called Making a Murderer. And a quote from Levick, who wrote an article. She is from the National Journal Center, I believe. And it is a quote from her, kind of pulled together, of the movie. She was saying is that using calculation, prodding, and fiend concern for his welfare, a pair of interrogators skillfully persuaded Dassey to admit killing someone for whom there's no evidence he ever even met. Now keep in mind, this child was a mentally challenged child, and there was no adult in the room when he was being interrogated. And for many reasons, especially ethically, that was very wrong in many ways. Some severe cases have been looked at a little differently now, such as another case where there was a boy named Jacob who was convicted of murdering people who had later been convicted of years of forced physical, sexual, and emotional abuse. And he was then put into adult criminal sentence and is now life in prison without possible parole. And there are many other factors that we need to consider in what led him to this. Not saying that what he did was right, but there are many things that led to it. And then with severe, less minor cases, I believe that these kids should not have to share the same space around those who have committed more serious crimes, especially due to susceptibility. Some of these kids they have committed certain crimes, but some of them are very fragile, and if you put them around others who have murdered and done other things, they're very susceptible. So now there are also special programs, such as rehabilitation programs, which have been instituted. An example would be working in the kitchen or doing other activities to focus on. There are also therapy and counselors that are provided for the children. Education, such as schooling, is offered in the juvenile jails. Alternative ways to handle their thoughts and emotions. They also have job readiness, which juveniles are given to help start looking for careers when they're out. Some are even employed when they're inside or given a job opportunity. Some companies work with the prisons with programs to help them transition into their companies as a place of work for them when they finish their time. And so, in conclusion, this could be your son, daughter, niece, nephew, brother, friend, or whoever that could end up in the juvenile justice system. And now that you are more aware and educated in the history, laws, and the various rehabilitation programs, what do you think about the juvenile justice system? And remember, as human beings, we need to teach and show the way for them. We can't give up on our people, and we can't let humanity wither away. Thank you.